Hey Deckers, V Rising is making waves on the Steam Deck since its official release, and as you can see from our app, it's trending very high in the recent releases, even challenging Hades 2 from its surprise drop, and with almost 90% positive ratings and peaking at over 130,000 players this weekend. You can see why. This is definitely running a lot better on the Steam Deck than in the early access, and as you can see from the settings that we're going to be recommending, you're going to get a good 40 to 50 frames per second, and it's going to look crystal clear on the deck as well. Pulling around 22 watts on the OLED, you're going to get about 2.5-3 hours battery overall, and probably around 2 hours on the LCD. And even during the day with big fights going on, we're still holding 45 to 50 frames per second. Now, recommended settings for this one is to pretty much start with the medium graphics preset, but we're going to drop everything apart from a few things to high. So put everything on medium except for texture quality and visual effects quality. I'm actually going to bring the anti-aliasing to SMAA, and just a note, the controller doesn't seem to work on these drop down buttons, so you either have to use the Steam shortcut if you're on an external monitor, or you will need to use the touchscreen, which is a little bit annoying. But anti-aliasing wise, we're going to have SMAA, no limit on the FPS in menus or in game, turn off motion blur and depth of field, and keep cloth quality and cloth update rate on high as well, leaving all the other settings as they are. Now you can obviously reduce that screen shake if it annoys you. On the deck, I will recommend on the LCD you want to cap this down at 40 frames per second on both the refresh rate and frame rate, and on the OLED you want to cap this at 45 frames per second and 45 on the refresh rate. It doesn't seem to take effect while I'm recording on the external screen, but this will also help you increase that battery life to get what I was mentioning, and it will give you a very smooth and stable experience. As you can see, even when I'm running around as a wolf here, I'm pushing over 50 frames per second, and most of the time over 45 as well, except for when I ran on Steam OS 3.6 preview and I had to come off of this, not just because of the performance dip, which was using FSR 1 ultra quality as well. As you can see, when I was connected to the external monitor, it didn't happen locally, but on the external monitor, it kept flicking between keyboard and mouse and controller shortcuts while I was trying to use the L1 and R1 buttons, which just made playing impossible because the skills are actually on the triggers and the L1 and R1 buttons, which made it absolutely horrendous to play. So I had to give up and go back to the stable channel. But after doing that, I did actually notice that the stable channel is actually performing better as well. So even during the day with lots of fighting going on here, you can see on the standard version in the stable channel, we're pushing 45 to 50 frames per second. So definitely going to be having a good time on this one if you're going to be playing on V Rising once again on the deck, especially with all of the castle building and other bits and pieces. I did only play offline as I didn't want to get ganked on PvP while I was relearning the game and testing a lot of things out, but there have been no issues when I did dive in for a quick test on the multiplayer servers. Let us know in the comments below if you're going to be diving back into V Rising and if you played in early access. And if you want the SDG Companion App, which you saw at the beginning of this video, then check out the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.